Hello, my beautiful people. How are you today? Well, I'm sure a lot of you know people or have friends that are the type of people that graze when they eat. And by that I mean they'll come in, they'll sort of pick at something, they'll run off, and they'll come by and pick at something and run off. Well, somebody I know basically said, hey, look, a lot of good tomatoes this year, like this. And I recently purchased a dehydrator and I wanted to know if there's something you could do with it. I said, yeah, sure. You can turn this into this dehydrated tomato. Now you notice that they're very thin, very concentrated in flavor, a little bit flexible, but they rip very easily. And the flavor is exceptional. Very concentrated, full of antioxidants. And this individual is also a grazer. Runs around, has his glass of wine, pick at something, run off, do something else, come back, pick at something. And he said, is there something that you could do or a recipe you can come up with that I can use my dehydrator and use all these good tomatoes? And I said, yeah, sure there is. Even better, I can make you something, very simple pastry, filled with dried tomatoes and other veggies. And you can just take a piece of it, bite it, go off with your glass of wine, do it again. It's a good Mediterranean diet, lots of olive oil in this recipe. I think you might like it. Let's check it out. For today's episode, we're going to do dried tomato and zucchini pastry. So first we're going to dry tomatoes at 125 degrees Fahrenheit. 12 hours later, they should look like this, dry and crispy. We're also going to need 45 mils of olive oil, 80 mils of warm water, 3 grams of yeast, which is about a teaspoon. We're also going to need an egg and 200 to 250 grams of flour. Now to make the pastry, you do this. Put your yeast into a bowl, and then we're going to add our warm water, and you let it sit for about 10 minutes. So here we go, add our water. 10 minutes later, we add our olive oil, and then we add our egg. Next, we turn on the machine, let it go, make sure everything gets well mixed, and then we gradually incorporate the flour until it starts to form a dough. Now once that's done, add a little touch of salt, about 1.5 grams. Then we prepare our bowl by adding a bit of olive oil, put our dough inside and swish it around so it's well covered with the oil, wrap it up and let it sit for an hour. After an hour, we're going to turn it out onto a floured surface, just like this, and we're going to roll it out fairly thinly in a rectangular shape. So start from the middle, work your way out till you get something like this. Get a pizza cutter and a straight edge, and you cut out little rectangles. Now we're going to need some zucchini for this pastry as well, and I'm going to just cut it into thin strips using a vegetable sheeter, but you can use a peeler, a knife. Just remember, get nice long sheets of vegetable. Then we lay a portion of it down on top of our pastry, followed by the tomatoes that we've just dried, like this. And then what we do is we gather some fresh herbs, wash them and chop them, and add some fresh mint, basil, and parsley on top of your tomatoes. Then you gently roll up your pastry, sort of like what you do for a cinnamon roll. Just grab the ends and start rolling till you get something that looks like this. Then what we do is we prepare a pan to bake it. So I lined it with a bit of parchment paper and just a little drop of olive oil in there and a little bit of cornmeal. This acts like a ball bearing so nothing sticks. Then what we do is we gently place our pastries one next to each other inside the pan, and then we bake it off at 375 for about 35 minutes until it becomes nice and golden. Everything will puff up, and it'll look something like this when you're done.
Well, we're going to give it a go. Yummy. And a little bit of olive oil. And then we're going to also add a little bit of balsamic. And then we dip. Good stuff.
So here we have our pastries, a little bit of vinegar and olive oil to dip things in, and I'm going to serve it with an accompaniment of braised carrots and cauliflower and olive oil, a bit of parsley. Enjoy your week, enjoy your veggies. Cheers.